There are at least 5 things I regularly do with my money today that I wasn't doing 6 months ago. The thing is, sometimes we approach personal finance like there's a finish line, like we're supposed to organize our finances and eventually figure out this perfect system and then never touch it. But I personally don't think that's how it works. Our lives change, our goals change, technology changes, and we as people change. So even after years of managing my money and literally becoming a financial professional, I still experiment with my own system. So today, I'm sharing 5 of my newest money habits, all things I've started doing within the last 6 months, to see if it inspires you to start some new habits yourself. Now, the goal isn't for you to copy all 5 of these, but if anything sounds interesting or fun, feel free to steal it or be inspired to create a new habit on your own. For those new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lissa Lumutenga. I'm a certified financial planner and an accredited financial counselor. On my channel, I teach you how to build wealth, build confidence with money, and build an abundant mindset. So if that's your vibe, make sure you subscribe. Let's jump into the list of my newest money habits. Number 1, I'm using AI with my money. And it's not Claude or ChatGPT. For context, I have been using Monarch Money to manage our household finances, and within the app, there is an AI assistant tool. I switched from YNAB to Monarch recently, and before YNAB, I was using a spreadsheet, and that just goes to show that there has been an evolution with my financial systems. If you want to try Monarch yourself, I will drop the link in the description, but let me tell you what I use this AI feature for. So the upside about using a tool like Monarch compared to a spreadsheet, for example, is that you can connect all of your bank accounts, credit card accounts, loans and debts, and investment accounts so that everything is in one place and it's a secure app. It's great to be able to see all your transactions in one place and also have them roll up to see what your net worth is and how you're making progress. So I had to give that context because this is a benefit of the AI tool compared to using an AI chatbot like ChatGPT or Claude. It's that all of your financial information is in the app. So I'll give you an example. I noticed that my spending was higher than usual in June for food. And so I asked Monarch, I was like, hey, can you compare June versus May in terms of spending on food? And can you pull out the reasons it was so high in June compared to May? And then it showed me the reason June was higher compared to May were for a couple of one-off expenses for my birthday. Eating out for dinner the night of my birthday and catering for the party that I threw at my house the weekend after. Those were categorized under dining out, and I realized that those should be categorized in a different way, like under celebrations. So using AI, I was able to quickly figure out what was causing these numbers to be different, as opposed to me sifting through months and months of transactions and adding things up and trying to figure out what the difference is. So that's just one example, but I do think there are a lot of ways to use AI here in terms of giving me insights and looking for trends. Which recurring expenses have increased in price? Which months tend to have more spending or one-offs than the other months? Now, to be clear, I don't use AI for everything. There are big financial decisions that I make myself, like how much to invest and what to invest in. Ultimately, which expenses to change or which subscriptions to cancel. I let AI look at the data and give me a list of things to react to, but I still make those financial decisions. Because at the end of the day, what it's doing for me is saving time. I can be so much more efficient when I can ask questions versus me going through every single bank account, every single credit card account, trying to find a needle in a haystack. So I feel so new age, but I am now using AI to help manage my money. Number 2, I'm tracking my personal spending a lot less. This might sound strange coming from a financial educator who's all about organization and tracking your finances. But what I want to point out is that for my personal spending, I track way less than I used to, not as religiously. And the reason I love this example and I want to share it with you is to show you that sometimes when you evolve your money system, it doesn't necessarily mean you're adding something. Sometimes you might realize you don't need something anymore. So let me give you some context. What I used to do was I would allot myself a certain amount every month to spend on myself. Nail appointments, hair appointments, gym, etc. Then, about 4 years ago, I got laid off and I decided to start my business. And I went back to school to become a certified financial planner. And when you do big moves like that in life, it makes your cash flow very tricky. I definitely did not pay myself a regular salary. Most months I didn't pay myself at all, and I was using up my savings. So there were a lot of months that I actually had almost no budget for personal expenses. I stopped getting my nails done, stopped getting my eyebrows waxed. I just did a lot of those on my own at home. It wasn't great, it wasn't fun, but I did what I had to do to get through that period so that I could focus on my goals, like starting my business. So there were times where I had to track religiously, and there were times that I had nothing to track. But my current situation is a bit different. I have actually temporarily gone back to the corporate world, and the big upside with that is I now have a regular income again. I get paid every week the same amount, and it enables me to plan. So for some even more broader context, my husband and I have a very simple system called mine, yours, and ours. Most of our income goes to our joint budget to pay for joint things, our mortgage, our debts, our food, etc., anything that we do together. But then we have carve-outs that go to each of our personal accounts that we can use for whatever we want. For my budget, I have about $200 go to my account every week, so I know that I'm going to get $800 a month to spend on myself. At first glance, it might make sense that I don't need to track religiously. It's a lot of money to be spending on myself. This does not have to be used on bills, anything related to the household, joint groceries, anything like that, right? This is my own separate budget to use for me. Now, I have already done the work to see what are those things I do every month, like subscriptions or, getting my nails done once a month. And those things add up to about $400. So 800 minus 400 leaves me with 400 a month on myself. So I don't feel the need to track this religiously because it's more than enough, more than what I need. I don't go out a lot. I don't shop as much as I used to. I really use that budget to do things like play live ball tennis once in a while, like go to tennis sessions. Sometimes I have to work remotely and I just have to grab a bite to eat. And it's not my preference because I always have food at home, but it's there for me to use. Then on occasion, I use the money to do things like go to the movies or do something fun. But another big reason I don't feel like I have to religiously track how this $800 gets spent every month is because I just have a feel for my spending now. I actually like staying under that amount because I want to put that extra that I save into savings and investments, but I do feel like I'm able to spend guilt-free, which is a big thing that I didn't have 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So because I'm able to spend guilt-free, I have the disposable income. I don't feel the need to track every single dollar. I just know when I'm going over or getting close to going over. And then I can dial it back and then readjust for next month. Number 3, I keep a wish list. A wish list as it relates to spending is a list of things that you want to buy. Now, what I used to do was if I saw something, I would go buy it. Or if I saw something, I would keep it in my head, I'd think about it, and then I might buy it later. Now, the problem with that system is you can easily fall into shiny object syndrome, where you see something, you want it, you buy it, then you see another thing, and then it can quickly get out of hand, and all of a sudden you're overspending and in credit card debt. So the reason I decided to create a wish list is because it puts a little bit of cushion between you and the purchase. It doesn't necessarily stop you from buying the thing, but now you can see what that thing is relative to all the other things you want. It helps you make a system for prioritization. So I use Superhuman Docs for a lot of my dashboards rather than spreadsheets. I still use spreadsheets sometimes, and you can totally use a spreadsheet, but it's basically the same thing. So on Superhuman Docs, I have a wish list section that both my husband and I put things onto. And what's key is we list the item, the estimated cost, when we might want this thing, and also priority level. Like, is this a high priority, medium, or low? Because that just helps us prioritize when we have a windfall of money and maybe one of us gets a bonus and we have some extra money to spend. We can now go to our wish list and see what is the highest priority thing on here. Should we go ahead and pull the trigger and buy it? And then there's the opposite, right? Sometimes you have extra money and then you can go to your wish list and then get yourself something off of your wish list. But you can also go to your wish list, see what you want, pick a priority, and then make it a financial goal. Create a sinking fund so that you could start saving towards it. I feel like I've stopped a whole lot of spontaneous spending by just having a wish list, because even when I see something that I really want and maybe it costs a couple $100s, I start to think, wait, what's on my wish list? Is there something I would prefer to spend on rather than this new, shiny new object? So it does create a little bit of that boundary and just helps me with my spending behaviors. I think what it does is it gives you a third option. The two options are no longer just, do I buy it or do I not buy it? The third option it gives you is, I will buy it, but just not now. And that alone helps you manage your finances a lot better. All right, number 4, a new habit that I've started in the last 6 months is I play Guess the Cost. Every time my husband Alan and I go to the grocery store or go to Costco together and we have a cart full of things and groceries, we play a simple game that I call Guess the Cost. When we're waiting in line for the cash register, we both give our best guess of what the bill is going to cost. That's it. Now, I have to point out that this is because I operate differently nowadays than I did in the past. In the past, when money was super, super tight, I allotted a budget towards groceries, so I knew how much I could spend on a given trip. If I knew I had to stay within $50 or $100, then as I'm putting stuff into my cart, I have to keep tabs to make sure I'm under that amount. I would say that nowadays I handle grocery spending a lot different, and that's for a few reasons. My husband and I have a little bit more disposable income, but what we also realized last year was just how much we were spending on eating out. So that's not news, right? Like, a lot of people end up spending a lot eating out. But what we decided was we want to cook more at home. And even when we buy more expensive groceries, we go to Whole Foods instead of Ralph's. Even when we go to groceries and put whatever we want in the cart, we decide that we're gonna cook Mexican food this week or Filipino food. We go to the grocery store, get the ingredients we need, and then we see what the cost is after. I think that's a very different way to manage finances. But for us, we know that no matter what, it motivates us to cook more at home, which motivates us to eat out less. And if we actually did look at the numbers, I guarantee we are saving more relative to those months where we were eating out all the time. So for us, we don't go to the grocery store telling ourselves we have to stay within $200. Instead, we buy the things that we need, a couple things that we want, and then we play this Guess the Cost game. Now, at first it started off just as like a fun little game, like who can get closer. Like the other day, we went to Ralph's. We bought a bunch of things to make Mexican food. We're cooking for our friends tonight, and we're also going to have enough food for the rest of the week. I looked at the cart, and my guess was $82. Alan guessed $95. When the total got rung up, it ended up $92. And I was pissed because I thought I was so close, but then I realized I had my husband go get the avocados, and I didn't know what they cost, and I didn't know how many he got. And that's what threw me off. So anyway, we were teasing each other about it. But then afterwards, I realized there actually is a benefit to doing something like this. It keeps us aware of prices of things. Sometimes you don't realize how much you're paying for strawberries or a package of bacon. We realized that it was more cost effective for us to buy eggs at Costco instead of Ralph's because of how much eggs we eat. So I think when you start to just build an awareness of overall costs of things, it helps you in the future. And for us, even though we're buying things and then guessing the cost, it still builds an awareness, I think, that is going to be beneficial for us in the long term. Not to mention, it's fun. And speaking of fun, that brings me to the last new habit on the list, which I think is the most unique one. And that is we started an investing challenge. Recently, my husband, Alan, and I started a little investing challenge with each other. I came up with this idea and proposed it to him, and he thought it was great. The challenge is simply that the both of us would invest the same amount of money every month in a specific investment account. And then in a year, let's compare to see who has the better portfolio. The reason I thought of this was because I had put a pause on my investing outside of my retirement account because money had gotten tight. My business was not bringing in as much money as I thought it should. And I was going through this transition of finally getting back to working a regular job again. So once I started this regular job and now I have regular income, I brought it up as, hey, let's not put off investing anymore. We're already investing in our retirement accounts, but we should start building up our taxable investments as well. So the initial challenge, we were going to do $100 a month, but then decided that that wasn't enough for what we wanted to do. So we decided on $250 a month. On the first of the month, we each transfer $250 from our joint account into our respective investment accounts and then invest in whatever we want. So we're about 2-3 months in, and I don't know how he's doing, but secretly my portfolio is not doing so hot. It's down a little bit, but this is for the long game, and it's not like I'm picking like crazy investments. I'm picking certain sectors and doing more research on stocks and funds. So I'm learning a lot along the way. And at the end of the day, it is money, but it's not a huge amount that's going to derail the rest of our financial goals. So I think it's a fun little way for us to gamify our finances, which is the point. We're basically gamifying the behavior of investing so that 1, we build the habit and actually do it, and 2, we hold each other accountable to investing and doing research around it so that we're not just encouraging risky investment decisions. This is not like a 1-month game where maybe we just invest in the craziest investments to see if it grows in a month, but this is a long-term game where we're going to check in a year and probably continue this beyond that. So none of these 5 things were part of my money routine 6 months ago. And who knows, 6 months from now, I'll probably have thought of something else that's fun and unique to incorporate in my finances. The point is, I don't think there's a finish line where you finally create a perfect money system and never touch it again. And yes, I am big on automation. Set up your direct deposits, your automatic transfers, your automatic bill pays. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to have to change things here and there. The amounts might change. You might open a new bank account, close a credit card, right? There are different things you're going to do in your finances that's going to change the nature of your system. So be open to change, find your system, and then let it evolve if it makes sense. So did any of my new habits sound interesting to you or crazy to you? Or are any of these something you might try yourself? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I hope this was helpful. And until next time, peace out.